Today we are going to proceed with the JLabel. So let me first organize my work so that we proceed. I'll remove this so that we return to the default color of the frame. Also, please note that it's a best practice to always first create and customize your JFrame. Then the last code, the last line, should be the visibility line, where you will be setting the visibility of your frame. Now, what do I mean? I mean that in case you have to add any other components, for example, a panel, a frame, a button, any other component, you have to add it in between these lines, or you have to add it before you set the visibility of the frame, because once you add any component after setting the frame, that component will not be rendered. So I'll demonstrate that in the coming tutorials as we move on. So today we are going to develop the JLabel. A JLabel, this component is used to hold texts, images, and it can also hold both texts and images. So when we are let us create these JLabels. So we'll need to import this label. So after creating, just like the frame, we will need to assign text to this label. So we'll use the set text method. So I'll give it this text. So please note that any component you create, it will not be displayed not until you add that component to the frame. What do I mean? Let me run. So if you run this thing, you can be able to notice that you have the frame, but you don't have the label displayed. So why? Because the label is not yet added to the frame. So I'll add the label to our JFrame. So how do we do that? We use the add method, which adds components to the frame. So this method will take in a component. So what will I add? We are adding this JLabel. So let me run again. This time round, we should be able to see our label. So this is our label, the text which we are displaying. So also note that this label is taking up this entire space of the JFrame. You don't believe me? I'll show you why. So I'll set the background of our JLabel so that we can be able to see the space it's taking up. So I'll use .set background, and I'll give a normal color. Let me give it green. Let me run. So you will notice that we have no changes. Why? We will need to set the opacity of this label so that we can see the background. So let me set the opacity from here. .set. So I'll set the opacity to true, and then I run. So hopefully our label is now green. So this means our JLabel is taking up this entire space of our JFrame. So another thing we can do, we can change the alignment of our text. So we can change the JLabel alignment. So let us set the horizontal alignment. This will take in a JLabel. So we can say JLabel.center to center the text horizontally, and when we run, we have our text centered. We can say we can also put it at the right, or we can put it at the left. It depends what you prefer. So hopefully now you can see that our text is at the right. So I'll keep it in the center. And also we can apply the same to the horizontal alignment. So let me also put the horizontal alignment to center. Let me set the vertical alignment to center. So I think you can see that now our text is centered. So hopefully for the vertical alignment we can put it at the top or at the bottom, like JLabel dot top. So it will be at the top, or we can put it at the bottom. So now it's at the bottom, but currently I would prefer to leave it in the center. So it's now in the center. Another thing we can do, we can change our label so that it doesn't fill the entire space of the frame. The reason why it is filling up the entire space of the JFrame is because of the default layout of the JFrame. By default, the JFrame is said to be having a border layout. So this border layout gets the components. For example, if you put one component like this JLabel, it will get it and place it in the center. When it places it in the center, that means if it's placed in the center, it will fill out the entire space of the frame. Even if you resize the frame, this component will also be resized to fill up the center. So let me show you what I mean. I'll remove this set resize to false and then run this program. So you see that it's in the center. So even if we resize, it will keep our components in the center. So to avoid this, we will have to remove the border layout from the JFrame so that we can place our components in the desired position. What will we do? We will come here where we customized our frame from. For example, I'll remove, I'll set back the resize to false, then I'll get this frame and I'll remove the layout by setting the layout to null. So I'll set the layout manager to null. That means there is no layout. Then let me run. So after setting the layout to null, our JLabel is not displayed. Why? Because we have not specified the position where it has to be displayed and the size of the JLabel. So we'll do that using the set bounds. So we will go to our JLabel and we will say that my JLabel dot set bounds. So we'll use the set bounds. This will take in the X position and the Y position. This X will be the margin, horizontal margin, and this Y will be the vertical margin. This horizontal margin will be from left. This vertical margin will be from top. Then this will be the width and this will be the height. So I'll say let me give it 50 by 50. So 50, a margin of 50 on the left and a margin of 50 at the top. Then I'll give it a width of 200 and then maybe a height of 50. So I'm customizing our label, like I'm giving it a position and the size in the frame. So let me run this. So hopefully now you see our JLabel. It's here. It has a margin of 50 from the left, 50 from the top. So now this is the size of our JLabel. It's not filling up the entire space of the J frame. So this means that we can also add another component here in the J frame. Like we can add another label, and also we give that label a specific position and size. How can we do that? Let me copy this JLabel. I'll come and paste it here. So I'll make this my JLabel 2 and this 2. Let me make it my JLabel 2 so that we can see the difference. I'll also add my JLabel 2 to the frame. I'll change this text to another text. And also I'll change the background color to red. And also I'll change the bounds. For example, I can put them in a vertical way, 50, 50, 200. Then I can say from the top, let me give it 50, 50, 150, so that I put it below the first one. Then I will run our program. So this is what we have. Let me see. Oh, sorry. So I gave 150 to this. It has to be 50. And this one I will give it. This has to be a 200. So that this is the width. This is the height. Then the margin from the top is what I want to be 150. So let me run it again. So this is what we have. So these are two JLabels. So we can add other components and we specify their locations in the J frame. Guys, I think this is the basics for a JLabel. So I will make a recap. What do we need to do? It's always advisable to put all our components here, like before setting the frame to be visible. So we have to put our components and also add the components to the frame before we define the visibility. Always define the visibility at last to avoid complications. Also, it's always good to know what you are doing. So there are other ways of doing these layouts or these displays which will provide you with the drag and drop, whereby you will just drag components and drop them. But that's not, I wouldn't say that it's not advisable, but I prefer customizing things step by step, so that in case there is anything that goes wrong, it's easy to identify what went wrong. Also, I'll come up to show you the difference, how you can use drag and drop to do these interfaces. So I'll come up and show you that. But right now, I'm focusing on developing things step by step. So let's meet in the next sessions for other components.